Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself. Oh, and if you don't mind, like, subscribe, comment. And I've got a link tree down below that's got my social media, and it has my Patreon if you want to help out. Thank y'all. As somebody who currently lives in Virginia, I am amazed at the ineptitude of the Virginia Republican Party. Now, it's not the only bit of politics here that I am just sitting back going, what in the world are you people doing? I'm looking at specifically the GOP in this video because I'm like, really? I don't understand what y'all are doing. Like, there's no energy in the statewide party. I know for a fact that there are members of the Republican Party in Virginia who would just love to get more things going. But instead, you have a party that refuses to do anything. They literally sit back and go, well, the Democrats have more power. And they rely on legacy media when there are so many other ways to get the word out. There are so many other ways to get the constituency here in Virginia excited. We're going to discuss that because it's idiotic the way that the Virginia GOP is handling things. The first way that the GOP failed in this state is messaging. We had a statewide election in Virginia. It was for the Senate race. It was Tim Kaine versus Hung Cao. You want to know what? I voted for Hung Cao because I was voting against Tim Kaine, because I honestly had no idea what in the world Hung Cao was about. Seriously. I knew he had been in the Navy, knew he was an officer in the Navy. That was about the extent of what I knew about the man. Like, yes, I did a little bit of research into the man. He wasn't somebody that I was excited about. Seriously, your messaging on a statewide election against somebody who is entrenched in Washington politics was sad. Are you just catering to what happens in Northern Virginia? Hampton Roads, yeah, a lot of it's blue, but not all of it. Matter of fact, a large portion of it isn't. Most of the state of Virginia is not Democrat. You are Republicans. You could actually have had a lot of power in this state, but instead, you ran a campaign that was absolutely nothing. Seriously, absolutely nothing. Ooh, he was a naval officer. Ooh, he commanded sailors. Ooh. That was about it. That was literally about it when it comes to Hung Cao. On the other hand, take a look at Jen Kiggans here in Hampton Roads. And I brought this up yesterday between the two. Jen Kiggans got attacked every which way but loose. She kept it classy. The only two attack ads that she ran, one was talking about her opponent, Missy Cotter Smalzl, having not attended half the meetings to a committee that she was appointed to. Hey, that's not a political attack. That's an honest to God, this is what happened fact attack. The other, the attack ad brought up that Missy Cotter Smalzl was funded by a lot of the folks that wanted the defunding of police. I know a lot of Democrats. I have heard a lot of Democrats that are against that. So for that, yes, it's a political attack, but at the same time, it speaks to more than just the Republican Party. Maybe whoever ran Jen Kiggins' campaign needs to take over the messaging for the Virginia GOP. You're about to have a state election which you're going to elect a governor, vice governor, attorney general. Maybe you need somebody that worked for Jen Kiggins to step in and take over your messaging because you guys suck at it and you need to get your head out your rear end. Another area that I see a failure with the Virginia GOP is the simple fact of they either ignore or try to keep down a certain populace within the GOP. Those are the folks that support, say, Trump. They're the folks that were Tea Party members. These are folks that are trying to bring energy into the Republican Party. But the Virginia GOP wants to keep the old aristocratic families in power. Now, I'm from an old Virginia family. My mother's side of the family has been here since the 1630s. Yes, I happen to have a little bit of knowledge as to the history of this state because my family's kind of linked with it. So, I don't agree that you should just listen to families like mine. I think that you should embrace all of them. But if you're constantly ignoring a sector of your electorate, you're hurting yourself. Seriously. You're saying, "Oh, well, we don't like them because they don't agree with us." Well, that's politics. You aren't supposed to be a unimessage political party. Number one, I have stated this before, the Republican Party is and always has been a big tent party. You've got a president who just got elected again, who, hey, he doesn't exactly do the normal things to get his message out. And guess what? He won. So you've got a populace here in the state of Virginia who's beholden to the military industrial complex, to the political whatever you want to call DC. Maybe it's time to approach those who aren't beholden to those things. But here's the thing: a lot of those that are that have their jobs via the military industrial complex, they're pretty conservative. Blue collar workers showed up for Trump. You would think that they would show up for the Virginia GOP, yet you're not doing anything about that. You're not reaching out to them. It seems to me that you're trying to fail. You're going with old politics that have no use of being there. This is a failure. The last point that I'm going to say about how much of a failure the Virginia Republican Party has become is your over-reliance on legacy media. I have looked around trying to figure out what kind of social media presence that the Virginia GOP has. I'm not seeing hardly anything. They rely on the TV stations. They rely on so much of what used to be the way to reach people. Now, do I watch Wavy TV? Yes, that is ever since I was a little kid. When I would come here to Virginia, my great aunt, who we stayed with when I was here, watched Wavy. And I still like Wavy. I still think that Wavy TV is a decent channel, but it's not my primary way of getting news. The Virginia GOP seems to think that that is the only way to get your news out there. Well, I'm sorry, it isn't. If you want to get that messaging, like the first point that I brought up out there, you use social media. You work with other sources to get your message out there. Quit relying on legacy media. Quit thinking that the way that the things were done in the past is still the way that it needs to be done. I'm sorry. You're just failing in that in so many ways because you're like everybody else. You're stuck in a way that harkens back to the 1950s to the 1980s. Well, guess what? It failed you yet again. You need to get to the point where you embrace new ways and reach out to the people who are not watching the legacy media. End of story. That needs to end. There gets a point in this country where every generation goes, we're done with these old ways. We're going to make things happen differently. Trump is considered a disruptor. I find it hilarious. He's the oldest person ever elected president of the United States. Yet he embraced some of the best ways to get noticed in this country faster than the Virginia GOP. Most of the people that are attached to the Virginia GOP are far younger than Donald Trump. Yet Donald Trump was more able to embrace the change than the political class in this state. Anybody who is attached to the Virginia GOP, you need to wake up. You need to go that there are new ways of doing things, and we're failing those people who support us. I am not specifically Republican anymore. Am I far closer to the Republican Party than I am anybody else? Yes, but that's only because of the conservative wing of the Republican Party. I'm well aware that while there are no liberals in the Virginia GOP, there are far more centrists that have power in this state than there should be. Jen Kiggans is a centrist in everything that I have seen about her. In all honesty, I think one of the best Republicans that has ever been elected out of this state in the past, I would say 20 years, was Scott Ridgell, and he was definitely a centrist. Your party does not want to embrace what is going on within the party itself. Your party wants to continue to do things in a fashion that only enriches those people, and it doesn't necessarily mean money, it also means power. Those people who are from the older families that are old school, but it's not helping the Republicans in this state that are actually the new wave of leaders. They're not neocons. They're not necessarily enmeshed in the history of the Virginia state, but they're enmeshed in what is going on today. And there comes a point that you have to realize you have to change. You have failed as a political party, not just in this state, but you should be considered a laughing stock everywhere else. You just had a person take on a crony of the Clintons and get within less than 400,000 votes of beating him in this state. If you're telling me that he couldn't beat him, you're deluded. He could have beaten him. As a political party, that is one of your biggest failures. And you're going to continue to fail until you make some changes. And hey, I'm just pointing it out because, well, you really are a failure. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Folks, I just want to say thank you for listening. I want to thank you for taking your time. I want to hear what your comments are about what you think on this topic because your comments are what's important, not necessarily mine. I don't care if you're you're Republican. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're Democrat. I want to hear your opinion on these topics. I want to thank you yet again for listening to my video. Like, subscribe, and all that other hoopla. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.